After almost a century of Mongol rule, China regained a sense of national pride with the foundation of the Ming Dynasty. The Ming emperors encouraged indigenous culture, and their patronage aided the revival of Chinese traditions in painting and ceramics. The cosmopolitan, but nevertheless alien, Yuan dynasty had not been great patrons of the arts, so the early Ming period was a time of rebuilding. The Yongle emperor, the third emperor of the Ming dynasty, moved the Ming capital from Nanjing to Beijing, where the Forbidden Ciy was built, and courts there and in the major cities became important patrons of the arts. Ceramics. Ceramic techniques became more sophisticated in the Ming period. As well as the appearance of the first cloisonné work, innovations in porcelain overglazing, blue and white ware, porcelain, and lacquer reached a height of refinement, with elegant decoration in specifically Chinese styles. Painting. Through the 15th century, court patronage of the arts increased, leading to the formation of various schools of painting. As well as the official court painters, there was an academic group founded by Dai Jin in Zhejiang, painting in the manner of the Southern Song period, known as the Zhou School, and also a number of artist scholars. Led by the four great masters Shen Zhou, Wen Zhengming, Tang Yin, and Qiu Ying, these literati painters were all accomplished in the three perfections, poetry, calligraphy, and painting, in the style of the Yuan masters, and became known as the Wu School, after the town of Wumen, modern Suzhou, where the majority were based. Various individualist artists also emerged, especially towards the end of the Ming era, including the painter and art theorist Dong Oichang. He interpreted the divergent styles of Ming painting as being two separate traditions, a northern and a southern school, and believed that the southern style, derived from the great Yuan masters, should be the model for literati painters. Dong Oichang's theories were to prove important in the establishment of an orthodox school of painting in the subsequent Qing dynasty, CP 281. Pilgrims. Blue and white. He returned to Chinese artistic traditions under the Ming dynasty is epitomized by the elegant decorations of ceramics of the period. C. 1403, 24 Ceramic, Musée Guémet, Paris, France. China, Ming Dynasty. Dai Jin. Biqiantang, 1388. Di Hongzhou, 1462. Dai Jin was the foremost painter of the academic Zhou school in Zhejiang. He worked for a short time at Emperor Xuanda's court in Beijing, but his conservative style was viewed with suspicion by the other artists there. Accused of anti-imperial tendencies, he fled back to Hongshou, but returned to Beijing after the emperor's death. Most of his existing paintings date from about 1440, when he was a court painter in Beijing, adopting the compositional style of the Southern Song painters, but reinvigorating it with dynamic brushwork. At the end of his career, he returned to Hongzhou where he died in 1462. Yuan sleeps through the snow. Much of Dai Jin's mature work followed the tradition of Southern Song silk scroll painting, often adopting the diagonal compositional style of Ma Yuan, and demonstrating a mastery of dynamic brush techniques. His landscapes also show the influence of Yuan painters and the boldness of their perspective. See 15th century, ink and slight color on silk, 202x107 cm, Indianapolis Museum of Art, U.S. Late in life he begged to return to Hangzhou, where his fame had increased. Yu Qiong, 1396–1474. Shen Zhou. Bxingcheng, 1427. Bxingcheng, 1509. The literati, scholar amateur, painters of the ancient Wu area around Suzhou in southern China, known as the Wu School, worked independently from the imperial courts in a style very different from the painters of the Zhou School. The most accomplished of the Wu artists, Shen Zhou, was influenced by the four Yuan masters An Zan, Huang Gongwang, Wu Jin, and Wang Meng, continuing the literati tradition of innovative and individualist landscape painting. Shen was from a wealthy and educated family, and his status allowed him the freedom to paint without the restrictions of patronage, exploring the aesthetic links between poetry, calligraphy, and painting and studying China's artistic history. Invitation to reclusion at Chaiseng. In contrast to the sometimes strict academicism of the Zhou school, Shen's landscapes are in a gentler and more elegant style. For Shen, inspiration, expression, and sensitivity to the subject matter were of greater importance than composition or technique for their own sake. C16th century, ink and color on paper, 25x 1094 centimeters, Indianapolis Museum of Art, U.S. Ode to the Pomegranate and Melon Vine. This painting shows the integration of poetry, calligraphy, and painting that was central to the aesthetic of the Wu literati artists. C 1506-1509, pen and ink and watercolor on paper, 149 by 75.5 centimeters, the Detroit Institute of Arts, U.S. Wen Zhengming. B. Suzhou, Jiangsu Province, 1470, D. Suzhou, 1559. Considered one of the four masters of the Ming period, Wen Zhengming was the most influential of the second generation of Wu school artists. He studied under Shen Zhou, page 185, and like his teacher was inspired by the literati of the Yuan period, but spent much of his early career trying to obtain civil servant qualifications. He finally got a teaching post at the Hanlin Academy in Beijing in 1523, but returned to Suzhou disillusioned with official life 4 years later. His mature paintings show some of this disaffection, and his highly individual style often conveys a feeling of solitude. Wen was best known for his garden scenes. He also helped to design gardens, illustrations of poems, scenes celebrating events in scholarly life, but also painted landscapes, often simplifying the composition to focus on a single rock or tree. Old pine trees feature frequently in Wen's work, especially pines, junipers, and cypresses, for their symbolic meaning of human struggle. A respected calligrapher, the range of brush strokes in Wen's paintings derive from calligraphic techniques, emphasizing the decorative patterns and textures of the tree. 1530s, hand scroll, NK on paper, 27 by 139 centimeters, Cleveland Museum of Art, U.S. The peach blossom spring when landscapes showed the influence of Yuan masters, especially Huang Gongwang. He adopted a severe, almost desolate style. This painting is an illustration of Apam, Tao Yuan by Jing, by the 8th century poet, Wang Wei. 1524, ink and color on paper, 28.5 by 377 centimeters, private collection. Closer Ayuk. Rocks and trees a recurrent theme in Wen's landscapes, and illustrations is the portrayal of treetop mountains, built up from separate rock formations. Each element of the mountain, the rocks and the trees, is independently positioned, but dictated by the overall composition. This gives a sense of movement within a carefully balanced structure. Tang Yin. B. Suzhou, Jiangsu Province 1470, D. Suzhou 1524. The son of a restaurateur, Tang Yin was not of the same social status as most of the contemporary literati artists. However, he was acknowledged as one of the four masters of the Ming Dynasty, despite some scandal. He was an excellent student, achieving top marks in the provincial civil service examinations, but he was then accused of bribery in the final exams in Beijing, jailed, and sent home in disgrace. He went on to study painting with Zhou Chen in Suzhou and embarked on a career as an artist, financing himself by selling his work. The absence of an independent income and his notoriously debauched lifestyle was frowned upon by other literati artists, but his undoubted skill as a landscape and figure painter eventually secured his reputation. Scenes of hermit's long days in the quiet mountains influenced by his study of Northern Song landscape painting. Tang often chose secluded, peaceful scenes as his subjects, favorite haunts of the reclusive literati. Typical of this style are the large mountains in the background of this picture, and the expressive sinewy shapes of the pine trees in the center. C16th century, ink and color on silk, 109 by 62.5 centimeters, private collection. To dab at paper and smear at silk is only a trifling skill for amusement. And the characteristic scholar or decrepit clerk, how can that be worth doing? Tang Yin is a young man, on hearing a prophecy that he would be a successful painter or writer. Pilgrims. Blue and white. He returned to Chinese artistic traditions under the Ming Dynasty is epitomized by the elegant decorations of ceramics of the period. C 1403, 24 Ceramic, Musée Guémet, Paris, France. Qiu Ying. Bitaitsang, Jiangsu Province, 1494, DC 1552. The youngest of the four Ming masters, Qiu Ying came from a peasant family, and although he studied with Zhou Qin and Suzhou, he remained only a peripheral member of the Wu school. His lack of independent income meant that, unlike most Wu literati, he was reliant on patrons for his living and became proficient in a wide range of styles and genres. Three of these patrons in particular, all art collectors, enabled him to pursue his career: Qin Guan in Suzhou, Zhou Fenglai in Erbi Kunshan, and Xian Yuandian in Jiaxing in Zhejiang Province. Qiu was somewhat apart from the Wu school stylistically. He chose to work in richer colors, muted earth tones, and especially his characteristic blues and greens, rather than the ink washes favored by most of the Wu literati, probably to satisfy the tastes of his patrons. He was renowned as a draftsman, especially in his faithful portrayals of human figures, but itis for his sensuous landscapes that he is best known today. Two scholars playing the qin and eru under a pine tree. The dramatic contrast of the finely detailed is a feature of several of Qiu's most striking paintings. The fineness of this figure painting is complemented by his sensitive, naturalistic depiction of the pine tree. C16th century, ink and color on silk, 101x43 cm, private collection. The garden of Wang Chuan's residence, as well as painting original works, Qiu made many detailed copies of old masterpieces and was proficient in styles of previous periods. In this landscape, after the painting style and poetry of Wang Wei, 701 to 761, he incorporates the sensuous, translucent color of his own work into the style of the old master. C16th century, ink and color on silk, 30 by 463.5 centimeters, private collection. Dong Oichang. B. Shanghai, 1555. D. Huiding, 1636. The painter, calligrapher, and art theorist Dong Qichang was an individualist, not associated with any school of painting. He painted mainly landscapes in an eclectic style, borrowing from the Yuan masters, but it was as the oratician that he was most influential. Noting the different styles of the Zhe and Wu schools, Dong argued that there were northern and southern traditions, and that the literati should paint exclusively in the southern style. Rivers and mountains on a clear autumn day. Dong's landscapes often distorted perspective for compositional effect, as shown here in this mountain's cape. C. 1624, 1627, hand scroll, ink on paper, 38x 137 centimeters, Cleveland Museum of Art, U.S. Chen Hongshou. Bijuji, Zhejiang Province, 1598. Di Shaoxing, Zhejiang Province, 1652. Born to a family of wealthy civil servants, Shen Hongshou's initial ambition was for a career as an official, but after several failed attempts to gain a position in Beijing, he devoted his time to painting, calligraphy, and poetry. He employed a self-conscious archaic style, adopting the mannerisms of the Tang and Song periods, and became known for his whimsical figure painting and colorful depictions of birds and flowers. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he seldom painted landscapes. Although Chen lived the life of a typical scholar recluse on the family estate, it is quite likely that many of his paintings were commissions that were not strictly approved by the code of the literati artists. 100 butterflies, flowers and insects. This hand scroll, in the style of the old master Yuan, shows Chen's eye for detail and use of exuberant color. He was well known for his realistic painting of birds, flowers, and insects. C. 17th century, hand scroll, ink and color on silk, 32 by 531 centimeters, private collection. Closer look. Balanced composition. Chen's naturalistic depiction of butterflies fluttering around. Blossom is handled with great delicacy and elegance. The balance and apparent simplicity of the composition counteracts the bold colors and carefully observed details to give a feeling of spontaneity. Immortals celebrating a birthday/epocha/subjects for Chen figure paintings were depictions of literati and elegant ladies, or as in this painting, groups of immortals. The archaic style emphasizes the mystical nature of the scene. 1649, ink and color on silk, 169x 68 centimeters, Indianapolis Museum of Art, U.S.